Good morning, South Africans. Good morning, fellow patriots. Good morning, Your Majesty. My name is Bonang Sepolwane. I'm a national organizer of Progressive Forces of South Africa. I am here to brief the media in regards with the questions on why, as Progressive Forces, we have decided to stand up and dig deep into the Edgar Lunga's passing and the rumor of him being buried in South Africa. As Progressive Forces of South Africa, we have decided that we will take the responsibility and dig in the issue of why Edgar Lunga the family want to bury him in the country. We had a space, I believe, on the 18th of June after the family announced that they are not going to take his remains to Zambia. On that space, we had visitors from Zambia and other SADC residents who came on X, and they claimed that the reason for that was because Edgar Lunga believed that his body remains will be used by the opponents in Zambia and then for multi and African magic purposes. But as a movement, we saw that as not a reasonable reason of why a former president wouldn't want to be buried at home. On the 25th of June, Edgar Lunga was supposed to leave the country, South Africa. Our government, South Africa, deployed SANDF and the media houses to go and make a send-off to Zambia with the regards with Edgar Lunga. With that being said, around 3 p.m. we saw on Newsroom Africa the announcement being made that the family have decided to bury Edgar Lunga within the Republic of South Africa as per his request. It was amazing to us as movement and asking ourselves questions on why will a former president who have people that he served willing to want his own people to mourn him. With that being said, we went into the social media, we went into articles of Zambian media and tried to find out what might be the reason in that regard. Number one, what we have found out, we found out that there are cases that the current regime have opened against the immediate family of Mr. Edgar Lunga. Mr. Lungu himself, he got immunity because of the status that he holds, which is former president. But the current immediate family have to go and answer those cases in Zambia. One of those cases is in regards with the first lady, the first former lady, Mrs. Esther Lunga. He's in possession, one of the cases as follows. There's a possession of property reasonable suspected to be proceeds of crime. The property includes a complex 15 luxury double-story which worth 27 million kwacha. Was forfeited by the state by the Economic Financial Crimes Court in 2024. The second one also against Mrs. Esther Nyawa Lungu. It's again a possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime, which also includes 15 luxury properties, which worth 15 million, also forfeited by the Economic Financial Court. The third one is in regards with Honorable Tarsila Lungu, who is a daughter of His Excellency Edgar Lungu. She is facing charges of possession of farm property estimated to be 600 hectares in size, situated at the Forest Reserve in Sinda District, Eastern Provinces, valued at 9 million kwacha. The farm was seized by the state following a judgment passed by the Economic Financial Crimes Court. Number 4, the case is the people versus Chiyeso Lungu, which also is a daughter. Possessing property reasonable suspected of being proceeds of crime, Ms. Lungu, who is also the daughter of late former Republican president, was charged with corruption charges involving her ownership of Lusaka 3-story luxury lodge, valued at approximately 22 million, also suspected to be the proceeds of crime. The other one is the people against Mr. Dalito Lungu, son of the late former President of the Republic. He is in possession of suspected of being proceeds of money laundering. Mr. Lungu, who is a son of the late former president, was charged with money laundering and being in a possession of 48 motor vehicles, reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime valued at approximately 25 million kwacha. There's also a question in regards with the Mopani mine beneficiaries. The beneficiaries of the Mopani mines are here residing within our country. They own the Ndozo Lodge in Lusaka, and then it's being used as a subject to the scheme. We are not fighting the Lungus. We are here saying, go and clear your name and come back to SA. We are also saying His Excellency Mr. Lungu cannot be buried in a foreign country when he was a servant of the Zambians. The Zambians deserve to bury their own leader. As South Africans, we know very well we have an issue of land. Since colonization and also apartheid, we have land claims that are being claimed via ancestral lineage. And graves are part of the instrument that we use when we want to claim the land. We don't want in the future that we are going to have an issue of the Lungus generation to come the descendant of Mr. Lungu to come and claim the land in SA and pointing to their grandfather's grave. We have a deep-rooted issue with the Zambians from during apartheid struggle. The Zambians is the one of the country that have contributed to our struggle. They have harbored our exiles. We also know that the Zambians, there are graves of our exiles currently in Zambia. We are not fighting the Zambians. What we will not allow is the current African leaders who loot the coffers of their people to take the loot and come and enjoy it in peace in South Africa. We know very well that African leaders have been looting their country's resources and then go and enjoy the loot in Europe and the West. Now it's UAE. We have also found out with this case that there are more looters of the continent who have now found heaven in our country, South Africa. We saw in the last elections of Zambia, the Zambian youth went out in their numbers, not only to go and cast the vote to change the regime. They went there because they wanted change. They got their votes from the voting station to where the votes were being gathered. We saw the videos in 2023 during the national elections of Zambia because they were tired. They were tired that the regime was collecting debt from the West, from the East, but there were no infrastructures in Zambia. I believe it will be unfair for us as South Africans to keep quiet and let the Lungus to bury their people in South Africa without letting the Zambians to mourn their leader, without letting them to go back home and face the Zambians and clear their name. Thank you very much.
Southern Africa is heating up, and this time, it's not the weather. In a stunning turn of events, the South African government has made it crystal clear, their soil will not be used to bury the legacy of corruption. The controversy centers around Zambia's late former president, whose family reportedly sought to have him buried in South Africa. But Pretoria has come out swinging, saying absolutely not, and the reasons go far beyond just funeral logistics. A senior South African official didn't mince words. "We have dug deep into this matter," they said. "We will not permit people who stole from their nation to hide or rest here." That one line has ignited fierce debate from Lusaka to Johannesburg, from Harare to Addis Ababa. Some see it as a bold stand for African accountability. Others see it as an unnecessary jab at a grieving nation. Let's rewind for a moment. The late Zambian leader, whose name we won't mention out of respect for due process, left behind a polarizing legacy. While he did bring stability and economic promises during his time in office, his name has also been linked to multiple allegations of mismanagement and misuse of state funds. None of these allegations were ever proven in a court of law, but they lingered long after his presidency ended. And now, even in death, they're shaping his legacy. The request to have him buried in South Africa raised eyebrows. Some sources say it was a matter of family preference, based on medical treatment he may have received in the country or personal ties to South African soil. But for Pretoria, that wasn't good enough. The government's response was not just a rejection, it was a statement. A line in the sand. An assertion that South Africa would not be a sanctuary for anyone, living or dead, accused of robbing their people. And the reactions? Explosive. In Zambia, the statement has been met with fury by some political figures and members of the public. Critics have accused South Africa of politicizing a family's grief. They argue that no formal charges were laid against the former leader, and that the statement implies guilt where none was legally confirmed. To them, it's not just offensive, it's disrespectful. But in South Africa, the reaction is more mixed. Some South Africans have praised the government's boldness, especially in a region where leaders often tiptoe around each other's failings. To them, this is a long overdue show of ethical leadership, a signal that the country is serious about drawing a line between itself and the culture of impunity that has plagued parts of the continent. At the same time, some political analysts are warning that this could trigger diplomatic tensions. Zambia and South Africa have enjoyed relatively stable relations over the years, but such a public dispute over a former head of state could test that friendship. Already, some Zambian lawmakers have called for a formal response to what they describe as South Africa's insult. So, what does this all mean? Is South Africa's move a genuine stand for integrity and accountability? Or is it an ill-timed flex that risks inflaming regional relationships? One thing is certain. This incident has sparked a conversation that's bigger than one funeral. It forces us to ask, what happens when legacies are unresolved? Can a country deny burial to someone not convicted in court, but shadowed by suspicion? And what does it mean for African unity when one nation publicly criticizes another's leadership, even in death? As the dust settles, one thing remains painfully clear. In southern Africa today, even the dead are not free from politics.